Hi students, this is a short video about the graphics project that should help jumpstart your position if you're having trouble. One of the things that I saw in the forum, was that somebody was having trouble with the words full stop. A full stop means a period. That's because, as a holdover from Morse code, it indicated the difference between the dot in the Morse code and the period at the end of a sentence in a message. Okay, so we say full stop or just stop sometimes when we're talking about a period at the end of a message. And so correspondingly in code, when we have a period or a dot here in this particular thing, we say full stop to indicate that it's the end of something like that. Okay, so I made a form. I haven't really populated it out yet. I think that you guys can do that. Leave some space either on the right side or at the bottom so that when you get to the bonus section you'll be able to add some things to it. But at the moment, even though it talks about multiple colors in task 1, once you get one color you'll understand how to add multiple colors, I think, once you see this video. Okay, so I'm doing a line here and I activated this button. So there's button, line, click. Okay, so I did some things a little bit different from what the handout says, but not significantly. This is exactly, right here is exactly what the handout said. However, in the pen, I didn't specify a particular color here. I just specified system drawing pen, my pen, so that I can change the color of the pen later on more easily. And also, you'll notice here where it says system drawing that it's gray. That means in the system that it's actually not necessary. It's already brought that part in, so we can actually just say pen, my pen. Okay, so keep that in mind, because you'll see that again right here. Now here we create an instance of a graphics, in this case the PictureBox, create graphics for the PictureBox, and then here I'm doing pen, and as I said before, the grade portion is simply not necessary. So if you want to set a particular pen color, all you will have to say is new pen color dot blue, and then this is the width. Technically speaking, the width isn't even necessary because you are saying new, which means you are instantiating, and that particular object, pen, that particular class, should I say, pen, takes either 0, 1, or 2, maybe more constructors. So as a result of that, you can instantiate it with just the one, which is just the blue if you wanted to. This is the width, and you can do whatever you need to do for width. Okay, so draw a line, and this is the draw line command, and this is all over the internet, so I didn't even bother to type this in myself. I just cut and pasted it and it works fine, so that when I run it, now I have a very big PictureBox here, so that when I click this I'll have a little bitty line. Okay, it's a good idea to have a fairly big one because there will be some shapes that if you copy the shape numbers off of the internet, they will actually be completely off of your PictureBox, and you'll wonder, why doesn't this work? Why doesn't this work? Well, the reason why it doesn't work is because your coordinates will be completely off of the particular PictureBox. So if you have a situation where a rectangle or some other shape doesn't seem to show up on your screen, but the others seem to work just fine, the first thing I would look at is the coordinates to make sure that the coordinates actually are on the screen of your PictureBox. This usually happens when your PictureBox, you can see mine here, if your PictureBox happens to be farther over or smaller on the form. Okay, so especially if it's smaller on the form. Like say for instance, if it was way up here on a large form, some of the coordinates will put the shape down here, which would be below the picture box. Okay, so be aware of that. It's a minor thing and it's easy to fix. I don't know that there's really anything else that you need to know immediately. You may want to just start working on a particular thing like this and just keep working on the same project. And if you have a problem with it, you can contact me, but otherwise keep working on the same project. And then at the end, you can try for the extra credit portion. And then if you get the extra credit portion, it is added on as extra points into your final grade. If you don't get it, it will say quote-unquote F, but it's not an F, okay? It's just not added into your final points. It's really an easy thing to do towards the end, and I'll probably make a video about radio buttons and sliders and things like that. It is kind of a fun thing to do. Radio buttons are especially kind of a fun thing to do, but actually, technically, you can do both of those things on the same form. Let's see. But anyway, you keep going, task 1, and then when task 1 is working within what you have here, then ask task 2. Just keep adding on to it, which in this case I think is to continue adding the shapes across here, or across here, depending upon what you want to do. Task 3 is the clear button. That one you're going to have to do a little bit of research on, but I will tell you that it is not as obvious as it really should be, and there is a dot clear method, but you can't clear you can't, how do I put this? You can't exactly clear a box per se. What you have to do is you specify clear and something else goes in parentheses. I'll leave it at that, and hopefully you'll kind of figure that out. If you don't, then maybe by the end of the week I might be inclined to help you out with that. Okay? So hopefully this will help you with this particular part and so forth. If you want to make manual controls for a little while for your pens for different colors, you can do that, or for the first couple of tasks you can simply put a different color in each of the shapes. Okay, why they mentioned the colors in task 1 and then there's nothing about any new buttons for changing the colors. You can do that too. I mean, ultimately speaking, I think that's something maybe in task 3 or whatever, where they want you to be able to change the color, but you'll have to change up some things in the code a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit. But because I have told you to set this pen up like this, then when you set the pen by, say for instance, using a button or using a slider or using a radio button later on in the code, you'll be able to simply comment this line out, just like this, and the color will have already been set by the other buttons and so forth and so on, and it won't be a problem. Okay, so I'm having you set it up like this for now, so that you can more easily, temporarily put in a given feature, but then in the meantime, and then when you get to that particular spot on task 3 and extra credit, then you'll be able to make a minor modification that will mean everything is much easier later on. Okay, so if we were to do rectangle at this particular point, you can just simply type in C# rectangle, and it will bring up the system drawing things for rectangles and so forth. Let's see if this one shows it. Yeah, that's awful. Website people. Let's draw a line. What happened to rectangle? Rectangle. Using graphics, blah, 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 blah. There it is, rectangle. Okay, so, you can then say, draw a rectangle with that particular thing. It's really quite simple. The rectangles and shapes and so forth become a little bit more involved, but you don't have to do it this way. You can simply specify, my pen and then the rectangle shapes and so forth. You'll get a little bit more accustomed to that when you're doing that. So that's about it for now. Have a good evening.